Welcome to another episode of the Growthinity live stream interview series where purpose meets leadership and innovation drives impact. Wherever you are watching us from, please let us know. If you're watching us from the Middle East, I would say good morning to you. If you're watching us from the United Kingdom, still good morning. If you're watching us from the US, it's already late there. In fact, it's late evening or late nights. And for those who are watching us from the Philippines, I would say good afternoon. I am Dunessa Arbas, and I'm thrilled you're joining us for episode 5 with the title Beyond Borders: Smart Strategies for International Wealth Structuring. Today's topic goes beyond financial jargon. It's about empowering individuals, families, and vision driven leaders to be intentional stewards of their resources. We'll unpack the strategies behind global wealth management, asset protection, tax efficiency, and legacy planning. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, or someone seeking to secure your family's future, this conversation is going to be eye-opening because wealth, when structured wisely, can transcend borders and generations. We're honored to be joined by Ma'am Rowena Agabao, an esteemed expert in international wealth structuring, with a wealth of experience in helping high net worth individuals and organizations manage assets across jurisdictions. She will walk us through smart, ethical, and future-ready strategies for global financial planning. Rowena Agabao, a dynamic entrepreneur, devoted mother and wife, seasoned mentor, and published is a pub and also is a published author. With an unwavering spirit of resilience and grit, she has built her success from the ground up without inherited wealth or connections, relying solely on hard work, perseverance, and an unrelenting drive to succeed. She holds a dual degrees in AB Mass Communication and AB Law and brings over a decade of expertise in intellectual property, management, wealth planning, and corporate services. Her impressive career includes 13 years in the UAE or United Arab of the Emirates, where she served as an advisor and consultant for one of the region's top 5 intellectual property firms, followed by her tenure as manager of the International Department for the largest corporate services provider in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa region. In 2019, she took a bold step by founding her own company, A&R Partners Ltd, which specializes in company formation, intellectual property registration, and second residency and citizenship solutions. Driven by her vision to expand globally, she later established A&R Global Consultants FZC in the UAE and A&R Integrated Farm in the Philippines. An inspiring author, she is the proud writer of the 15 Lights Unto My Path, a heartfelt ebook paying tribute to the individuals who shaped her journey. Available worldwide on Amazon Kindle and in the UAE via Payhip, her book reflects the same values she brings into every aspect of her work: gratitude, that is gratitude, authenticity, and purpose. Today, she continues to empower clients, teams, and communities through her strategic expertise, customer-focused approach, and commitment to excellence. It is an honor to welcome her as a speaker who truly embodies the power of passion, purpose, and experience. Good afternoon.
Yeah,
Good afternoon,
hi.
Rowena.
Good afternoon, Vanessa. Thank you for having me. That's much of an introduction. I hope I can keep up to the expectations from your viewers. Good afternoon to everyone, and good morning to some areas in the world. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Growthinity, for inviting me.
So how do you feel this afternoon while yeah, before we delve deeper into your into our topic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm very excited to be honest. Yeah, when I received the invitation from you, I said this is something I'm really excited about. I'm completely passionate about. It's something that they say always that knowledge is a gift and a blessing that is meant to be shared. And I hope I'd be able to achieve that today with you and the rest of your audience who are joining or have joined us today.
All right, so that's wonderful. By the way, for those who are watching us, kindly leave a comment on the Dropbox section so we can acknowledge you, we can recognize you, and I would say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So, without further ado, let's jump into the questions. Please, Rowena, help us understand what does international wealth structuring mean and who needs it?
Mhm. Okay. Um, everybody actually needs it. Okay. It seems to be intimidating. Yeah, once you like listen to it. I mean, once the first time you hear it about international structuring and wealth planning, but well, and in fact, every simple person can just simply dive into it and grow from it. So it's basically just a comprehensive strategy in order to manage and grow your assets. Um, Coming from the idea that don't just look into your assets a small piece of whatever you work hard for. There's always room for expansion and growth, and that's where managing it to grow and make it bigger. So it's always a vision of creating a bigger structure and making it like an umbrella structure rather than keeping it into just one, probably, let's say, company only. Rather than putting everything into one, you can actually expand it and make a vision of growth into whatever you have. And that's why it's international, because there's always a tendency of thinking small when you're a business person, because there are so many considerations. Maybe financially you're still not ready, so you're keeping it very conservative. But part of growing would mean like expanding, creating a bigger vision of what you initially wanted. And that would mean like identifying the assets that you have that initially you didn't think that you have. So these are steps, based baby steps initially, but you can grow the assets or managing your whatever you have, whatever you worked hard for, and thinking outside of the box, looking of exploring other countries as well, not just,
That's
for
wonderful.
example, yes, for example, you're in the Philippines, so looking into expanding into other countries. And that can be done, that easily can be done
That's
by yes, correct,
yeah.
correct, which we
So
will explain later
sure.
more.
Please give us, enlighten us further. How has the global landscape of wealth planning evolved in the last decade? Probably for others, this is new for them. I get to
Yes,
understand, or I hear the expression international wealth structuring way back 5 years ago, but I didn't get a full grasp about it. But you know,
yes.
you've been in the industry for over 10 years. Please tell us how it has been going on for the last 10 years.
The growth actually, Donessa, is tremendous now. When I started, okay, when I came to the UAE, actually, I was in a law firm engaged in trademarks applications, trademark registrations with high net worth clients. Um, and then just on the aspect or the asset protection as far as intellectual property is concerned, it was quite, it didn't, I would say it was at the minimal. There wasn't much of inquiries apart from actual registrations per se. But because of the advancement and because people have started to do their own research, they have engaged the services of experts. then it's not just anymore the high net worth clients who are into it. So regular
Wow.
employees and regular entrepreneurs are also delving into the idea of expansion, and the growth is tremendous now. If I may say, like probably like 300%.
Wow.
Just a calculative a measurement of how it grew from that smaller space, I would say, initially in the beginning when we were starting to the now situation.
I think that's good news because probably, we have some or if not now, maybe in the future or maybe later, there may be startup entrepreneurs or business owners who will listen to
Yes.
this recording or yeah, video, and they might think, "Oh, I'm not yet a multimillionaire. I'm not yet in that level, so
Mm.
I that is not possible for me." So I like what you said earlier, even for startups and even professionals, who are even
Yes.
OFWs. Am I correct, Rowena? Even OFWs can start considering this. Am I?
Yes, definitely, definitely, Vanessa. Because see, some of our OFWs now are purchasing properties. They're
Great.
purchasing condominiums, right? This is just probably a simple example for now that they have condominiums. There's so many OFWs who have set up their own companies as well. So good planning, strategizing is key and material to develop expansion. So it's always good to plan ahead and talk to a professional on how you can do it properly.
Okay, uh that's the green flag there. Okay, so for those who are watching us, either from the UAE or from other countries, or maybe later, this is good
Yes.
for you. At least you know where to put in the fruit of your hard work. Instead of just shopping and buying stuff unnecessary,
Yes.
will not generate more income or create more wealth. Then this is the video for you. Please be good stewards of your finances. Now, please shed light on the common mistakes which people make when it comes to structuring their wealth international. What are the common
Yeah.
mistakes or yeah mistakes or
Mm-hmm.
misunderstanding
Mm.
about structuring their wealth on a global
Okay.
scale?
I the Thank you for the question. That's actually a very good question because these I'd like to enlighten, especially our OFWs, our SMEs, for example, or people who started a small business. um Better when you think of expansion and you're thinking of purchasing more, anything that relates to money, anything that will involve, of course, what you worked hard for, is always to seek legal and tax advice.
Mm,
That's the first. Okay, because the problem is when we're too excited to do things, we miss out on the smallest details,
mm,
because there's implication when you, for example, you have your own company or you buy anything for that matter. There are
mm,
always contracts involved. There's
mm,
always negotiations in between. So even if you're not represented specifically for purposes like maybe because of financial constraints,
mm,
just approach any legal person or tax person to know the legal implications. That's the first. Otherwise, you don't know the level of protection that you might deserve, that you didn't take, and then that caused much more damage in the end. So saving small cost sometimes is also not good, especially if expansion and growth is in mind. That's first. You have to know your rights for your rights to be protected. Second is also do your research. Okay, you cannot rely simply to what people will say, or whatever I'm saying now. The I'm It's not 100%, of course, maybe effective to you, considering other maybe reasons. So it's always good to know and understand also, and know your research. Do your research before doing anything. And then third probably is there's always no know what you're doing in the sense that there has to be a business plan.
Okay, great.
So this business plan will always guide you, because not all businesses or not whatever venture that you'd like to enter into will work in your favor if if you don't know you don't have like a system in place on how you should do it in the event that it doesn't work out. And COVID is
Mhm.
one big example, because in the absence of a business plan, you don't have to be able to innovate, and you will not know how you can survive in the event that there will be instances or circumstances that might affect the business that will eventually end up to closure or liquidation of the company. So having these three will somehow will be the basics for me to be able to be at where you want to be for business and expansion.
That's great, you know. I think those things are very easy to follow, and thank you for enumerating them. Can you walk us through the difference between a trust, a foundation, and
Mhm,
a
mhm.
holding company, and when each is used?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. For those who are not very much, not very much known, maybe onto the trust and the differences of all these structures. These are actually three different types of structures. I'll first maybe discuss trust, because this is often like it's missed out because not people really understand it, and they thought that it's for the rich people, the wealthy people only. But it's for your knowledge also that in the event you'd like to do it, okay, in the future, then it's something you can consider. So
Mhm.
trust is not a company. Okay, I'll explain in details the three so that you more or less have an idea. So trust is not a company; it's a business structure.
Mm.
Okay. And when you say it's a business structure, there is a composition of the reason why it's called a business structure. So basically, in a trust, there will be three dimensions to it, or three participants to a trust. You have the settlor, who's actually the ultimate planner of the trust. That's the
Mm.
settlor, okay? And then you have a trustee to the trust, which is could either rather be an individual or a private trust company. And the obligation is ensure that the assets entrusted by the settlor. So settlor basically is the owner of all these assets. Okay, we'll not itemize it, but these assets could be in general whatever the settlor has in any
Okay.
form. Okay, and then you have the beneficiary. So the beneficiary basically is whoever will benefit from the trust, from the business structure. So the trustee can be either a banker, if it's an individual, or a trust company who will engage into business dealings, or to ensure that there's growth, or to ensure that
Mm-mm.
whatever the settler wants, once the settler passes away or dies, will go to the beneficiaries. So
Mm-mm.
trustee is a caretaker of the trust,
Okay.
basically. Okay, so and the trustee can also be allowed to control at a certain level to ensure that the assets grow. So it could be a fund manager, it could be a banker. So all these things just to ensure that it thrives, the trust
Okay.
thrives. Okay, and it goes to the beneficiaries should anything happen to the settler. Okay, and the foundation. The foundation is semi-trust and company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's between a trust and a company,
Mm-hmm.
because in a foundation there is a founder,
Okay.
but foundation requires specific planning, not directly going to the beneficiary is the idea. No, because a foundation could either be beneficial to, there's a beneficiary, but it could either be a religious charitable institution, it could be an educational institution, a religious institution. So it's created for that purpose.
Mm.
In the trust, unlike the trust, it could, the beneficiary normally will be the family, will be the
Mm.
children, the wife. So it's going to be the family basically. But for a foundation, the beneficiary would be, It could be if it's a private foundation, but normally how it's used is for charitable purposes, for religious purposes, or educational purposes. And
Mm.
it's a company because it has similar to articles of association or memorandum of association in a company. It has a charitable you call it basically the charitable, sorry for the lack of better term, but you call it basically
Humanitarian
uh no
initiatives.
no 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 it is basically you have the founders, okay, the founder, then you have the council, then you have the foundation charter. Okay, so
Mm.
charter is similar to the articles. So the
Mm.
foundation charter basically outlines all the whatever is the institution is entitled to.
Mm.
So all the articles on how the foundation will run. So
Mm.
that's it. And it's under the management of what you call a foundation council. So that's
Mm.
how it is similar to a trust, because with the
Mm.
trust you have trustees. With the foundation you have a foundation council.
Yeah.
And you have that charter that manages to ensure that the beneficiaries, it could be a charity, will receive whatever the foundation wants it to on how it's going to be running. So on the side of a company, holding company, okay, so it's basically a company. So you have the shareholders, you have the directors of the company, and a holding company because it's also holding assets, but
Mm.
it works as a company.
Mm.
And it's basically used because on a structure of an umbrella, similar to an
Yes.
umbrella. So you have the company on top, the mother company owning the baby companies down.
Yeah.
That's just how you explain it. But it's a company because it operates as a company run by the directors, owned
Mm.
by shareholders, but it owns also smaller companies down.
Yeah.
So that's how it works as far as these three structures are concerned, and how they are used in a structure. So
So,
to give
are you
maybe a
saying that if
view.
we want to, are you saying, or are you implying
Mm,
that for us to position
yeah.
ourselves internationally or globally, and if we want to expand in that capacity, we need to have a strong understanding as to whether we are building a foundation, we have a holding company, because
Yes.
the way I understood so far, correct me if I'm wrong, so far, the way I understood it is if you really want to go big, then you need to have this structure in place legally. Yeah,
Yes.
you need to have
Correct. Yes.
a holding company, a corporation, and probably even a foundation can go global, right? Am I correct?
Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct. I'll just probably put a simple structure
Okay.
using all three so that it would be simply put understood clearly. Okay, probably you have a company, okay, you have
Yes.
a company set up in Philippines, let's
Okay.
put it that, or UAE, or a company set up in Philippines, and the shareholder of your company will be a
Mm.
trust.
Okay.
Okay, that's possible. So it's going to be a trust, and then the beneficiary of the company will be the
Okay.
children, okay? And you have the trust on top of that company, managed by the trustees on top, right? Benefited by the children. Then
Mm.
on that lower portion, okay, you
Mm.
have probably a charitable institution that you're supporting.
Mm.
And then the foundation can also be owned by the holding company.
Mm.
Okay, so you have the trust, you have the holding company, you have the foundation below. The trust could hold maybe assets for the children, and below that is for management of the charitable institutions, probably owned by the by the ultimate beneficial owner. So you
Mm.
have a structure already with the trust managed by someone, by the trustees, but the beneficiary will be the children as far as other assets. And you
Mm.
have a foundation below that handles all your charitable institutions. So you
Mm.
have trust, the holding co, plus your foundation below. So that's
But
how
is it
it
is
works.
how will it work if, let's say, you have
Mm,
a holding company, but then your foundation
yes.
is a separate entity not owned by the holding company? Is that possible?
Uh,
Will
yes, yes.
it work?
Yes, very possible. If you'd like it separate, it's very possible. And now, if you want to incorporate yourself to the foundation, then you can put yourself as a beneficiary of the foundation also, or you could be the founder of the foundation in itself and incorporate the company for management. So that's also very possible. You can do it in one single structure umbrella, or you can do it separate and create another structure. So that's the beauty of wealth planning and wealth structuring.
That's wonderful. This is a huge conversation. Maybe
Yes.
take your service in the future.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
definitely.
there's
I'm
a
just a
lot. There's
phone
a
call
lot of
away.
things that we need to talk about. But this is just to educate our audience, because these days I've also noticed people now, especially the younger generation, are more educated, and because
Mm,
of video reels, they can see this on short videos or on Instagram, Facebook. So we get bits and pieces, but it's still different when we talk to or talk with an expert.
mm,
We are placing ourselves in a better position. Now, how do you balance global compliance with tax efficiency across multiple
mm,
jurisdictions?
okay. I would have to thank the regulatory offices, the regulations with that. See, because it's definitely in the beginning there was struggle to get this done, but
Mm-hmm.
because of transparency and regulatory requirement, it sorts of creates a balance that you whatever you want to do, there has to be full transparency to ensure that it's done properly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the regulatory offices, authorities who lays down all what they need to ensure that clients or providers, consultants like us, would be able to clearly establish what the client needs. Because this is actually good because in the beginning, there's a concept that when you do structuring, you're hiding something. So let's just go address that false misconception
Yeah.
because people do structuring for purposes of managing their assets legally in a good way, in the proper way, and for you to be able to draw the line on what on the hiding aspect, as they
Mhm.
say, the regulatory solution to that is of course provided by the proper authorities now, and each country are strictly following the requirement as per the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act is there. Um, all this information that needs to be provided. So it's that. And the way to balance that actually is to comply, to
Mm,
provide.
that's
And yes, and open line of communication with the client that see we're doing something beautiful and good for your family, for in whatever what in what as far as whatever plans you'd like to lay before you passed away. So and clients will always provide because the way to create these structures is to be transparent anyhow, declaring whoever really owns the properties and assets involved.
so. What role, speaking of international structuring, what role does it play in asset protection and legacy planning? So, when you say international structuring, before you register anything, do you mean like really the having things in place before we legalize, our
Mm-hmm.
the structure itself? So, please enlighten us. How does it help us
Yes.
with asset protection and legacy planning? So, what do you mean even by legacy planning?
Legacy planning is because when we pass away, whatever we worked hard for, whatever legacy we left, whether in whatever form, this legacy that we created for our children,
Mm,
for our beneficiaries, whoever are entitled to what we worked hard for, should
mm,
really get that. The
mm,
problem is if we don't do this structuring while we are leaving, we
mm,
don't know. It's gonna be a messy fight between all your beneficiaries. So
mm,
the best way is to do and plan ahead to ensure they receive it properly and in the
mm,
way that you'd like them to receive.
mm.
That's why
That,
you need to make to create that. It's the will, of course, will be there, but the will not be enough because not everything will be covered, especially so if you have assets outside the country.
wow.
Okay, that's where it works now. The international planning, that's where it works. If you have assets in other countries, different jurisdictions will have different laws applicable. Okay, it's always important that you understand that wherever the property is located, the laws in that country will apply, not your nationality or not your wherever you are in the world, because you have to consider, where are you a resident, where are you born, where are your assets located, all these considerations. That's why it's important from the beginning. I've mentioned that you need to seek legal advice because a lawyer
Yes.
will always tell you the legal implications. Domiciliary is different from where are you born,
Mm,
okay, and where the assets are located. So it's very important to understand, especially if you have, like, for example, if you're an entrepreneur here in the UAE and you're a Filipino, okay? Your company is here, UAE laws will apply here, and
mm,
Sharia will apply here, okay? So that's another story. Then you have assets in the Philippines.
mm,
Your family probably is in the Philippines as
mm,
well. So consider the countries where you actually are having a business, where your beneficiaries are. And one more thing, apart from these, there are global exchanges, there are global relationships. So for example, maybe you have assets here, you'd like to set up maybe a company in Singapore because you're into logistics. So
mm,
you have to consider as well Singaporean law.
mm,
Does Singapore have, as far as taxation is concerned, is there a double taxation treaty?
mm. Wow.
These things, yeah, these things you have to consider as far as tax implications. So the two important people in your life when you do tax planning or structuring will be a lawyer and a tax expert.
So, so far, this is what I can deduce from our discussion. International wealth planning and structuring is very feasible. It's within our reach,
Yeah.
provided we get advice from the right people, from the lawyer and the consultant like you to guide us. Because um, in the previous episodes of our live stream, we talk about going global in your business. You start locally, but you operate globally.
Yes.
And we've also discussed the power of AI, the power of digitalizing your business.
Realization.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can market, for example, if you have a certain program, especially for app, if you're like you have an app, right? So you can use it here in the Philippines, maybe launch it here, but you can
Yes.
also sell it in launch it in Europe or in the Middle East. So I correct me if I'm wrong, Rowena, this is where, international wealth planning comes into the picture, because definitely you'll be opening a business there, a partner who will, it's,
Yes.
and
Yes.
most of my friends, to be honest, perhaps you know them as well, they are not limiting themselves to operating in the UAE, because they're there for
Yes.
over 7 years. And then our tendency is to go back to our homeland, start the
Yeah,
business,
yeah, yeah.
register it here, and then we go out again because we have established relationships
Yes.
from different countries. You know, people business
Yes.
from different countries, and I really find this conversation very relevant. Personally, I see myself going in that direction. So I find this topic very relevant. And for those, especially the younger generation who have the entrepreneurial mindset, this is something you need to consider as well. Please review this video, watch this again and again. And Rowena is here. You can reach out to her directly, or you can approach
Yes.
us, Growthinity, so we can provide you with guidance. Growthinity is a non-government organization, and it's our heart to really reach out to the community through mentorship, coaching, and educating the community, and foster global collaboration for socioeconomic impact. So, yeah, I think that's really that says a lot about what we're doing. There's a lot
Yes,
there,
yes.
and I'm sure I'll be delving in deeper into this topic, but so I have another question. With
Yes, 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 go.
scrutiny on offshore structures, how do you ensure transparency and legitimacy? Because and
Mm.
I would also raise the second question. Maybe you can answer these two in just one
Mm.
go. What's
Mm.
your view on the ethics of tax minimization versus evasion? Yeah,
Minimization, yes.
because I
Okay,
even
okay, sure.
speak to one financial advisor, and she also talked about opening a company in another country. This is how you
Mm-mm,
reduce your
mm-mm,
tax, but is it really
mm-mm,
ethical? Are we just evading tax in our country? There are also
mm-mm,
those who, when you have an ecosystem in your company, so what you
mm-mm.
do is, instead of paying another company, you have that company which offers similar service. So what you do, so the money from your company goes to another company, but it's still you. So you open another company in another country. So please
Yeah, yeah.
enlighten us. So when can we say we
Uh-uh.
are still being ethical and when we are already evading tax?
Okay. I'll make it clear that it's ethical. Okay. I think we need the advancement of the processes actually made that clear, because if we go time in memorial, or we go probably 10 years backward, the absence of regulations, absence of laws, absence of the strict participation of the authorities in the past, it was exploited a bit. I could say that it is exploited, and it was somehow there's miscommunication on how these structures were initially used. Okay, so I could vouch for that, because now that I'm advocating, or I wouldn't say advocating, but I present it as options, alternative options to my clients. But in the end, you still need to take that tax and legal advice. Okay, the concept of offshore actually is, when you say offshore, you're working outside the shore, meaning to say that you set up the company, for example, in the UAE, but your operations is outside.
Mm,
That's You don't operate in the jurisdiction where you set up the company, you operate it outside. That's the concept of offshore. But then
mm,
again, it was misconstrued.
mm,
Okay, it was misconstrued because um some countries, different, I have explained earlier that different jurisdictions have different laws. They have different ways, as far as implications, um probably on corporate laws and corporate taxes. So it's different from one country to another. In the Philippines, we have this certain percentage of tax. In other jurisdictions, it's zero.
mm,
Okay, so that's where it comes in.
mm,
That people somehow think that you are transferring the burden because it's huge in one jurisdiction, and it's smaller or zero in other jurisdiction. Um, I would probably present it this way. Some are strategically doing it properly,
mm,
and some are not. Okay.
mm,
I would say that the offshore in many ways have become very transparent now.
Mm,
There are filing requirements now. So you couldn't say that I'm hiding into this, because eventually there is a UBO filing. And when you say UBO filing, you say ultimate beneficial information.
mm,
So even if I go probably to an offshore jurisdiction, I'll not mention exactly where now, to just give some general view.
mm,
For example, you go to an offshore jurisdiction, which probably I own, for example. If I go there or I ask the authorities who owns this, definitely you will know who owns it.
mm,
So that's why people now, and beyond the controversy of all this offshore in the past, you will
mm,
still know who owns it.
mm,
Okay. So it's strategically done in a way that probably tax minimization comes in. Okay.
mm,
Tax evasion and tax minimization, one is legal and one is illegal.
mm,
Okay, because tax is a duty. It's a duty of every citizen to pay tax, even if it's an enforced contribution, because the government needs to run, and there are expenses for the benefits that we get in the services from the
mm,
government. And the minimization of tax, that's where structures come into place,
mm,
because you're paying lesser because you're strategically done something that made
mm.
you pay lesser. But evasion, of course, is illegal because that's totally not paying tax at all. And you're
Ah,
not doing your valued contribution to the country, serving you at the same where you get the benefit. So minimization through a structuring is legal, legally acceptable, meaning reducing your taxes. Tax evasion is, of course, definitely illegal. You cannot do that. You have to pay your tax.
that's great. That is clear, and I hope those who will watch this video, if sooner or later, will find this very helpful and I would say substantial. It's also a guide for them. We don't have to limit ourselves to small, like thinking small,
Think small,
operating, yeah,
exactly.
operating small. The world is huge. It's our platform, and it's possible to really expand. So
Mhm.
that is such a relief. Thank you so much, Rowena. Can you share a real life? You don't have to mention the name. A real
Yeah,
life
yeah, yeah, yeah.
story where international structuring made a huge difference, or perhaps some of your like experiences from your clients. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, some testimonies. You don't have to disclose the
Ah,
person.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, definitely, definitely. There are a lot, but I would probably just give one example who is a Filipino. Okay. I think the best way to connect is association. So this is a Filipino. She she was an employee. She's not even, how would you call that? It wasn't even a highly paid type of job.
Mm,
Okay. Um, and but she's already into business for she was already business minded initially.
mm,
Okay. So and that concept alone, she worked on her expertise because she's good into this specific work that she's doing. And then she started a single company. She left the job. Okay. Whatever knowledge she got from the job, I'd probably just say it, she was a secretary. Okay, for better association with the work that she did. She was a secretary, and then all the knowledge that she could get in a span of 3 years. Okay, she took everything at heart, because she's coming from uh what challenged her actually is because she was the breadwinner, and she is still how somehow the breadwinner. What she did was she resigned, she set up a company here, and then she approached us after 5 years. So we told her it's time to expand,
mm,
which she did. Okay, but conservatively, what she did was she set up other companies here first. She didn't go global yet. So she set up another company through our advice that these companies that she'll set up will be complementing her current company, which is rather already successful. Then she set up another one. Would you believe she has 5 companies now in the UAE? Then she set up 2 companies outside, and these are all complementing companies.
Mhm.
Okay. So
They're under
one
umbrella
helps,
or
yes, to work. Yes, it's an umbrella. So she did 5 now in the UAE. She has 2 companies outside UAE currently. And then what she also did is she set up 2 companies there, franchise companies in the UAE, in the Philippines. So, and she was a company secretary here when she came.
wow.
she worked on her she worked on her gratuity for the first company, conservatively made it grow. That's why I always suggest, it's also good that you take it slowly. Better that you understand your market and create a certain niche relationships first to
Mm,
ensure that it works. Because after 5 years, if the company is making profits, I think that's a good level of experience already. So
wonderful.
now she has 7.
Wow. And
Sorry, now she has 8. Sorry, 2 outside, 5 here, 2 in the Philippines.
nice.
But the companies in Philippines are all franchises. She made sure all the IPs, her trademarks are registered. And also she made sure that she has a will. So all these are in her structure.
That's wonderful.
Uh, yes, and she's one of I'll let you meet her once you come back here. She's one of the most successful structures that we did, and she's a Filipina. And she doesn't have rich parents. She
Perhaps
doesn't have
I
rich
met her
parents.
before. I just didn't know
Ah, yes.
the
No,
one
no, no.
you're
I'm
referring
sure you've
to.
met her. Yes. And she doesn't have rich parents. She didn't inherited anything. In fact, she's the breadwinner. But for her to create this empire, I would say an empire now,
Rowena,
is
you really excite me.
amazing. Yes,
Hey,
it's
for those who
amazing
are
how she did it.
ambitious, yes, I really like to connect with
Yeah.
people with this mindset. You know,
Yes, yes. Please,
there
please.
is no limit, and perhaps we can invite you to our. We can invite her to speak as well, probably. As
Yes, yes.
first person, so
But
she
then
can
again,
share.
we'll have to be confidential that it's not
Ah,
her.
okay.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's confidential, but it could be
Let's
a
see. Yes,
different
yes,
topic.
yes.
We will not tell
Yes,
her
yes.
we're talking about her. Perhaps just
Yeah,
another
yeah.
topic for her to
Yeah, yeah,
discuss.
yeah.
But I really appreciate. I like for I don't know with our
Mm-hmm.
viewers, but I'm really inspired. Um, Listening
Mm-hmm.
to you, Rowena, making
Mm-hmm.
it easy for us to understand, making it possible for us to achieve. So for
Mm-hmm.
those who will be watching this video later, sooner or later, um, I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you. The world is your platform. Achieve your dreams,
Yes,
chase your dreams because we only live
correct.
once. So live life to the fullest and don't limit
Yes,
dreams.
exactly.
Continue to grow, continue to achieve and leave a lasting impact.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm
Per-
almost, we are
Perfectly said.
almost at the end of our session, but I like to ask this question: how should someone just getting started in global wealth structuring begin their journey? Because the word itself, global, sounds daunting, but
Yes.
what are the first few steps that we can take? So we'll head into that direction.
It's always my take always is to start small, because and work from there. um the thing is, with starting small, is growth will be easier because you have that mindset that you need to take care of this, otherwise I'll lose it. And start small but think big. So you work those two together, and you don't have to rush. Make it work. Start small, make it work, and
Mm,
work on your expertise. I think that's very important, because somehow we where I'm coming from is, sometimes there are entrepreneurs who jump into the wagon because it's in. You, like, for example, maybe a coffee shop. Everyone will be having a coffee shop because it's in. You
mm,
know, work on something that you're really good at. If you're good probably in logistics, then work on that. You start small but work on that, and then think of ways on how you can grow it. And don't immediately create another if you still do not feel that it's gonna work for a certain period of time. So I think 5 years is really the best gauge.
Yes,
Once you reach that and you establish relationship, that's very important. Make sure that uh you have that edge over your competitors. So there
mm,
has to be some level of additional service that you can provide to the service that you're already providing so that people will choose you. In other words, make your product the best, start small, okay, but think big, have a vision, make it the best that you can have. And it's supposed to be not just something that you love, it's supposed to be something that you're good at. And
great.
I think that that's where you can start, wait, and then create some more. Because again, we are sometimes trapped in the idea that I'm okay, I'm already okay, I can
Mm,
already we already have a comfortable life. I only want one company. I mean, think outside the box is always really good. Having a bigger vision is always better. So
I
work
like what
from
you
that, and
said.
then
Sorry, I like what you said. Don't just pursue something that you love, but pursue something that you are good at. Because there's this line
yes,
of follow your passion. You may love, you may enjoy it, but if
correct.
you are not very good in that area, then it will not make you money. So there has to be a good balance between your passion and your expertise. Or
Yes, yes,
if you can become the person, an expert person in what you enjoy doing, then that's already a double
correct,
reward for you. So,
correct,
and
correct.
yeah, also when you said vision, there has to be you need to have a clear vision, because nowadays, especially the younger generation, everyone likes instant. Everything is
Mm,
almost a click away, and we somehow the younger generation somehow lose the resilience, the patience, and the perseverance to endure something when they face challenges and difficulties. So they tend to hop from one job to another, or start from one thing to another,
yes,
instead of learning from their own, I would say, setbacks and failures.
yes, yes,
It's I think the soft side, the soft skill of being an entrepreneur, or someone who wants to build this a wealth international wealth planning is also necessary, because this is what we want to achieve. But for us to really achieve that, it takes, I believe, effort. You have to put in the
yes.
effort, action, materialize your dream. But
Mm-hmm,
it's just that we are guided. You don't have to do things haphazardly. There is a pattern, there's
mm-hmm.
a system that you can build. So that is very beautiful, Rowena, and I'm really looking forward to work with you in somehow, to some extent,
Yay!
within this arena, because this is also my heart, to help people and to really operate on a global scale. That is also part of us as Filipinos. We can compete globally. So yeah. Now, what one piece advice would you like to give to someone managing wealth internationally?
Mm. That's actually I because there's how would I think manage your expectations and know what you want. Know what you want exactly. Know what you want. Why is important? Because what do you want to give? What legacy you want to leave behind? Why are you creating it? So knowing exactly what you want, is the planning will come. The rest will come. Because it comes from the level of uh, not just the vision. Because if you have a vision but you don't want to create that vision, that's exactly also like a contrast of ideas. But if you know exactly what direction you want, as far as in everything that you worked hard for or what you want to achieve, then you'd be able to reach where you want to be, because it's something that you want within.
Mm.
So yes, it has to more than the vision, because we can always visualize what where we want to be in life. But is this something that you want for yourself, for your family, for your children specifically, and for the legacy that you'd leave behind? So if there's something you're sure that you want to do, because I've always, when I have meetings with clients, the first thing that I ask them is this the plan that people are telling you to do, or is this the plan that you wanted to do from the beginning? Because
Nice.
if this is something, yeah, because if this is something that you want from the very beginning, then it's achievable. You're
Mm.
not pushed by someone, or you're not compelled by anyone, or you're not just doing because someone else is doing it,
Mm.
uh, because it's meant to, the end point will be a total disaster. But this is, if this is something that you'd really want, then whatever challenges that would come your way, because
Mm.
seriously, setting up companies, it's not bed of roses. It's
Mm.
not gold at the end of the tunnel. You will fall, you will lose, um you will probably think of closing it down at a certain point. There's so many challenges
Mm.
that you're gonna face as an entrepreneur. But if you really want it, then no matter how bad it's gonna be, then you'll fight for it. You'll stand up for it.
It's true. I agree with you. But I don't want to add something to that because that itself is very powerful. It's something that really, it's a desire that really comes from your soul. It's from within, and
Mm-hmm.
this is another topic to discuss, but finding your purpose and meaning is connected with your spirituality. So if you sense this is your calling, your purpose, and how you're going to build your legacy, then go for it. It should not be something dictated by another person onto you. So that's beautiful. But and the last question now, because we're already yeah, we've been, but I really like this discussion. How can our listeners learn more or connect with professionals in this space? How can we know? How can,
Mm-hmm.
like, for those who are listening to us,
Mm-hmm.
of course they can connect to Growthinity. Those who would like to collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
come message us either on our Instagram account or LinkedIn or even here on Facebook. We will reply to you. We will help you build your global presence, as well as help you build your wealth, on a global scale, operate globally. We are here. That is as well part of my forte. And we have here Rowena Agabao, who is really good in terms of the legal aspect in structuring your business in that on that capacity. So yeah, and also give us your final advice before we end today's session.
um okay. In the end, it's always doing your research. Okay. Some are intimidated with international structuring and wealth planning. So don't be intimidated. Okay. I think the beauty of research and the beauty of knowing things is it encourages you. It gives you that level of strength and confidence to start. So knowing approaching the right people, well, Nodessa is there, I am here. You could simply reach out to us. But additional to that is you need to know and understand also how it works. And the only way to do that is probably reading some articles, reading materials about wealth planning. What is it about? I can expand and probably teach you more. But you need to also empower yourself first by going through probably videos that you could find. It's easily available now. See, the younger generation they're very lucky now. Everything is under their fingertips, And I always encourage learning and educating yourself, empowering yourself, because this is something no one can take away from you. And plus, this will encourage you to be ready in the future and whatever the future holds.
That's
So yeah, that's probably what I can tell you about more about how you be interested on international structuring and wealth planning.
yeah, that's
And
yes.
I think as far as my advice, no fear. This is what, no fear. Um Dream big is one thing, but never fear growth, never fear success, never fear expansion, never fear big plans. Um See, there's always this aspect of us hide discrimination. Never fear discrimination as well.
Mm,
See, we are examples to that. Donessa for sure has
yes.
come a long way. I came here to the UAE with just pocket of big dreams. With nothing else. When I came here, I didn't have any friend or family member who was here. Of course, my husband was here, but I never had that level of comfort, you would say, when I came
Mm,
here. No, it's just my suitcase plus a
mm.
packet full of dreams, nothing else. So no fear is also applies to everyone, because I think the real reason why our fullest potential is not met, because there is always that hidden step backs. Like instead of moving forward, is we have that fear of rejection, fear of failure. So I think that's the best advice I could give for now, because I was afraid as well initially, but what what made me turn around and say that I can do this even if I'm not in at my comfort zone is not to be afraid. Moving
That's great.
forward, step forward.
Thank you so much, Rowena, for encouraging us. And yeah, your words resonate with my life, your story. We were once there, so what I'm actually doing now, I just came back to the Philippines to start what the things that you just said, and
I'm so
I'm
proud
really
of you. I'm so proud of you.
let's see where the future holds and bring us. But thank you so much, really, for your time. Thank you so much for sharing us your expertise. What an insightful and empowering discussion. We've learned that international wealth structuring isn't just for the ultra wealthy. It's a vital tool for anyone looking to lead with wisdom, plan with purpose, and leave a legacy that lasts. At Growthinity, we're committed to equipping purpose driven leaders not only with vision, but with strategy. If today's episode sparked new ideas for your financial journey, we encourage you to take the next step. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups.growthinity for more conversations that inspire action. Once again, thank you so much, Rowena Agabo, for your time. Thank you so much for making our Monday, an inspiring one. Until next time,
Thank you.
lead with purpose, grow with intention, and go beyond borders. Good afternoon from the Philippines. We're signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.